At the edges of our cities, far from the dense urban areas, dying giants litter the landscape. Dinosaurs Americans call big box stores or supercenters, and Europeans hypermarkets. These massive stores are remnants of a previous era, the 1990s and 2000s, the heyday of mass consumerism. But things have changed in the last few decades, drastically so. These hypermarkets, previously considered unmovable and too big to fail, are now struggling to make a profit, operating on razor-thin margins. The hypermarket as a concept is doomed, and as to what will replace it, it will depend on the policies our elected leaders will enact, so we should choose wisely. The hypermarket or big box store or supercenter is a massive retail establishment offering not just food items and regular household goods, but all sorts of other stuff such as clothes, power tools, office supplies, and guns, among others. The idea is to combine different stores into one and become a one-stop shop for your customers, increasing your profit. The first hypermarkets emerged in the 1960s already with the rise of mass motorization and American suburbanization. It was the perfect addition to car-centric suburbs that prohibited building anything other than single-family homes. Now, suburbanites no longer have to drive into the city to get their shopping done and bear an hour of traffic jams in the process. Instead, they can use this sleek new elevated freeway built on the ruins of a minority neighborhood and drive into the brand new hypermarket where they can handle all their shopping needs in one go. In the massive parking lot, there are always free spots. The bright, clean, air-conditioned interior and the endless shelves full of goods being the ultimate symbol of post-war modernity, back when houses cost like $5 and the rents weren't sky high. Speaking of, allow me to pay mine. Ever heard of data scrapers? Corporations that collect your personal data from public records, social media, and info you give out about yourself, like during online shopping. Or if you visit one of these Amazon stores where they track everything, including your movement patterns. All it takes is one breach and someone might just get their hands on your data. And once they have your data, you can become a target for harassment or worse, such as identity theft, where someone takes out a mortgage with your data. You do not want to get an overdue payment notification one day on a big loan which quote-unquote you took out. You better get rid of superfluous personal data about you online. And to do that, the best service to use is Delete Me, the sponsor of this video. Delete Me cleans up your personal data from hundreds of data broker websites, helping you protect yourself against identity theft, harassment, stalking, or worse. Once you specify what personal data to remove, experts will scan those hundreds of data broker websites and request the removal of your personal data. A week later, you'll get your privacy report detailing the data found, which is now removed for good. Later, they will recheck the websites, making sure your data doesn't surface somewhere else at a later date. Do not let your personal data fall into the wrong hands. Get 20% off Delete Me US consumer plans by going to joindeleteme.com/Adam20 and use the promo code Adam20 during checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/Adam20, promo code Adam20. Thank you for checking out Delete Me. So for about half a century, the big box store or hypermarket concept worked rather well. But then, this formerly impervious industry increasingly found itself in trouble, in some places fighting for its survival even, getting gradually outpaced by new players, new consumer habits, and technological innovation. During the times of COVID in Germany, most stores were closed, had shorter opening times, and/or operated with very strict limits on the number of people allowed inside. This was before the vaccine was developed, and nobody was certain how bad things would get. I myself did not want to risk getting infected or bother with quotas or strange opening times. Instead of going to the Rave store near me, where I usually shop, I decided to do it online with a quick in-store pickup afterwards. The problems started immediately. The website was very clunky, and the pickup point they listed was some kind of warehouse driveway thing behind the store, clearly meant for customers in cars. I just wanted to walk up and get the bag of stuff I already paid for online, but apparently that wasn't an option. Oh well, I ordered the stuff online, paid, but then got the order refunded, saying the items selected were not in stock despite the website saying they were. That whole online shopping procedure was an overcomplicated, dysfunctional mess. At that point I gave up and went to stand in line instead. While that Rave store was just a local supermarket, it is indicative of a general problem with the retail industry just not keeping up with the times, and their slacking is now coming back to haunt them. But as German and other hypermarkets were beginning to discover the concept of the internet in 2020, a retail revolution was already underway. Proper online shopping with delivery to your door, ordered simply and quickly through an app or a website. This is very much like how IKEA killed the furniture stores of old, where you showed up to some warehouse piled full of furniture and a salesperson would immediately start following you around offering unwanted advice. Compare that to IKEA's concept of building a store out of pre-designed rooms you walk through with a quality and affordable restaurant where you're left alone by employees unless you ask for help and so on. Online shopping to hypermarkets is much like what IKEA was to regular furniture stores, but online shopping is not the only thing threatening hypermarkets. Our ideas of how cities should work are also changing. changing. More and more people want to live in dense, urban areas with services and amenities close by instead of the suburban hellscape where everything is a 30-minute drive away. More and more people are growing environmentally conscious and reject mindless mass consumerism. More and more people opt for car-free or at least a car-light lifestyle. And hypermarkets just do not fit into this equation anymore. They are environmentally unfriendly, represent the height of consumerism, and are completely car-centric, being far outside walking or biking distance. These places were built for the car, so they had to be put far away from everything else because living around car-centric areas is just unpleasant. As a result, these retail castles are usually at the edges of cities. When I was visiting other Adam and Chemnitz, a nearby city, I decided to try and go to that big hypermarket area at the edge of town by bike. I was naive like that. Chemnitz is, in many ways, the ultimate example of how not to plan your city. The edges are littered with giant hypermarkets and strip malls, causing most retail in the center to die. The presence of these consumerism castles also generates a lot of car traffic which otherwise wouldn't exist if more people shopped locally. Combine that with Soviet megalomaniac traffic engineering and you get one of the worst cities in all of Germany. And in this city, I biked to one of these giant retail areas at the edge to predictable results. It was inconvenient, unpleasant, confusing and dangerous. Later, people told me, "Oh, you took the wrong path. You went where the bike path led you. What you should have done is turn left from the path onto Heidelberger Straße, take the first right to Wüstenrotstraße, then enter the dirt path at the end, after which turn left and then take a sudden right. Bike along that street, turn right and keep going until the big road. Cross it and continue on the asphalt road, then turn left onto the forest path and then take the leftmost path at the three-way fork. Keep going straight, ignore all crossings, pass under a bridge, and eventually you'll surface at the hospital parking garage, after which you take a right and then go straight down the hill and..." Right, so you need to drive to these places, which means they will induce massive amounts of car traffic. Especially at the edges of otherwise dense cities, if you see a massive parking lot of a hypermarket full of cars, those cars had to get there somehow, which often means thousands of additional cars rumbling through otherwise peaceful residential areas, right past the empty shop windows, abandoned as they couldn't keep up with the hypermarket's price dumping. At that point, the city becomes less of a place to live and more of a lifeless compound housing consumers connected by an asphalt route to the place they're supposed to perform the consuming. And if the transportation problem wasn't enough, hypermarkets are also ill-equipped for climate change and the increasingly strong heat waves we'll have to endure. When the thermometer hits 40 degrees Celsius, that's 104 burgers, where would you rather be? A place like this? Or a place like this? Heat waves are getting longer and more frequent. In such cases, even if a hypermarket is somehow accessible on foot or by bike, during a heat wave, it's only realistically accessible by car. And even that's problematic, because you still have to get through the parking lot. Try that during a heat wave when you're 65 years old with heart problems. This basically means that hypermarkets during heat waves become inaccessible to the elderly, families with young children, people with pets, and so on. So in a situation like that, instead of giving your family a heat stroke or giving your pets third-degree burns on their paws, seriously, asphalt gets hot. You can just do everything online, including groceries. Against online shopping, the massive size and selection of hypermarkets and supercenters is actually a detriment, because if you need a few specific items, it's much easier to punch their names into a search bar and click the order button than to be hiking around in a 10,000 square meter store for an hour. Though in America, in many places, this is basically the only type of exercise your built environment provides to you. No matter how we slice it, these hypermarkets just don't fit in the equation anymore. Sure, there are niches where they are doing well, but in general, they are obsolete and should be a thing of the past, and they should be replaced by smaller, local stores up to the size of a supermarket. Germany is actually quite good at this. Neighborhoods are littered with such local, smaller scale stores, and they see a lot of business. Even in a place like Chemnitz, local supermarkets can be much better integrated into the city. For most people, they are close enough to walk or bike to. They don't induce nearly as much car traffic as a hypermarket. They are also more resistant to the pressures of online shopping. Why bother ordering on the internet and then wait around for the delivery if you can just pop by the supermarket in 5 minutes on foot? Amazon has also seen the opportunity this market provides, so they started setting up their Amazon Fresh stores in the US. Fully automated shopping, self-scanning shopping carts. Put the items into your shopping cart and just walk out. The cost will be deducted from your Amazon account automatically. Such a marvel of innovation. Until it turned out that Amazon was employing 1,000 workers in India to manually check the contents of each cart, and then they just scrapped the project altogether. Oh well. So I believe the future is supermarket-sized stores integrated into our cities. IKEA is once again ahead of the curve here with their new IKEA City Store concept. The whole idea is that you don't arrive by car. You go in, pick out what you want inside, and then it gets delivered to you. Quick and easy, no hassle. It's a great mix between local and large format stores, and it seems to be working rather well. It's conveniently reachable on foot, by bike, or public transit, and you won't even get a heat stroke while trying to get to it during summer. So to sum up, Lidl shall rule all. First, they came for those who didn't have a Lidl Plus card, and I said nothing, because I do have a Lidl Plus card. And so I forgot what I was going with this. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you next time.